well-known atheist Richard Dawkins, in one of his books, wrote this. Dawkins writes, "I have found it an amusing strategy, when asked whether I'm an atheist, to point out that the questioner is also an atheist, when considering Zeus, Apollo, Amun-Ra, Mithras, Baal, Thor, Wotan, the golden calf, and the flying spaghetti monster. I just go one god further." Now, that so-called one god further argument has become quite popular among certainly many atheists on the internet. Atheists, they say, are just people who believe in one god less than Christians. Does that argument actually work? Well, no, it doesn't. If we took Dawkins' one god further argument and applied it consistently, it would have all kinds of peculiar consequences. One would be that we would no longer be able to select just one candidate, one right answer from a range of possible answers. Let me illustrate. Imagine that a criminal is standing in a courtroom, brought up for a charge for some crime he's committed. The criminal looks the judge in the eye and says, "Your Honour, I've been discriminated against. The police were sceptical about 10 other suspects, yet they arrested me. Your Honour, I encourage you to go one suspect further and let me go." Clearly he'd be laughed at. Well, the same problem could apply in science. I might look Professor Richard Dawkins in the eye and say, "I'm afraid, Richard Dawkins, I don't believe in natural selection. In fact, I reject evolution by natural selection for the same reason that I reject Lamarckian inheritance, panspermia, and punctuated equilibrium. I simply go one theory further than you and reject natural selection too." Clearly, that's a ludicrous argument, yet it follows if Dawkins' point were correct. But there's a further problem too with the idea that we can compare the God of the Bible to those other deities, so-called gods that Dawkins talks about. You see, the thing about Thor and Mithras and Zeus and the flying spaghetti monster, if those beings exist, they are creatures within the universe. The flying spaghetti monster, if such a noodly appendage deity actually exists, well, presumably we can investigate his pastory ways using science. He's a creature within reality. But the God of the Bible, Yahweh, is not a being within creation. He is the very creator of reality, the one who sustains everything. You see, I've begun to realise, particularly as a Brit living in Canada, that people can often use words, the same words, in very different ways. Now, when I discovered Richard Dawkins using the word God to denote the entire pantheon of ancient Greece and Rome and Babylonia, it tells me he is not using the word God in the same way as I use it as a Christian. You see, when Jews and Christians talk about God, we don't just mean some being who's a little bit bigger than us, some sort of superpower out there somewhere, but we use God to describe the one who is the creator of reality, the sustainer of reality, the very ground of being. God is the one without whom nothing would exist at all. Not the universe, not me, not you, not the flying spaghetti monster, and certainly not Richard Dawkins.